custom made and guaranteed.
Hey there LEGO Legends, welcome back to How Did You Build That? Now this is a bit of a special announcement episode. At the end of 2021 I actually entered a competition with Modern Teaching Aids to actually utilise this brand new system, Spike Essential, to try and come up with a unique unit of work. Now I was incredibly lucky that I was one of 10 finalists, and out of that a joint winner to not only score a massive pack of this and the BricQ Motion Essential for my school, but I also earned the title of a LEGO Education Brand Ambassador for MTA. I'm incredibly excited to see what we can actually do with that in the future. So I've just come back from BricVention, which was held at MSAC in Melbourne, and I did a little display showing off this brick built sign and also a bunch of education products. Now, a lot of people haven't actually seen these things before, which surprised me a little bit. So Spike Prime has been out for a little while now, and it shares a brain and quite a lot of parts and motors and things like that with the Robot Inventor 51515, just in different colours, a lot brighter. There are a few cool parts that some people haven't seen. So for example, the breadboard. The great thing about this is that we can go in many different angles, so great for exploration. So they recently did an update to the Spike Prime expansion pack, and they've now included this very cool new part, which actually is aimed at fitting a Raspberry Pi to control LEGO motors. Incredibly exciting. I can't wait to do more with that. But this video is actually focused mainly on some of the new parts you might find in Spike Essential. Now, there are some cool new wheels, some long Technic beams in unique colours, even some shorter beams in unique colours. Pretty sure that I haven't seen these rubber tyres in blue before. A short one of the ribbed flexi tube with a blue thing down the middle. Now, I'm particularly fond of these little green pins. They're a pin on one side and a receiver on the other. You can actually stick it down onto a Lego stud. I can see some amazing things being made possible with these. All well and good. Very, very interesting. But probably the most exciting parts are this new light matrix. It's a 3x3 multicolour light matrix. Now there is a 5x5 light matrix on the front of a Spike Prime or on the Robot Inventor, but this is multicoloured. But possibly most exciting was this small motor. Now the one found in Spike Prime is about twice the length of that. I'm not sure how far some of you guys go back, but back in the 9-volt system, they made a micro motor, and it was essentially a 2x2 by about 2 brick high motor that could be used to power some very, very small things. Now, whilst this is clearly a lot bigger than that, the micro motor wasn't very powerful. This is still compact, but it has a bit more juice. And of course, it's all powered by this cuter than cute micro hub, which is a 5x7 Technic frame, like the little grey frames, and 4 studs high. So it can really fit into some really, really small spaces. It still only has the 2 ports, but I'm still thinking that people will be able to do a lot with that. The question was asked, could it power a monorail or something like that? I don't have the monorail set up, but what I do have is a powered up system. Now, the cool thing about these parts is that they can actually fit into a powered up hub. It is exactly the same port, which means that I can actually plug these motors into and power them from a powered up hub. What I've done here is I've just connected one of these small motors in through the back of a breadboard, as well as one of the large powered up motors, the Technic motors, and got the motors connected through the breadboard on an axle with a small gear. And I'm putting it onto the much, much larger 48 tooth gear. It's an 8 to a 48 to slow them down so we can actually see what ratio, what speed ratio we have in this very common motor and this new one. I'm just going to control it via this remote. So we can actually see that the red motor is quite a lot faster still. It's about 3 to 2, I think it is, or 4 to 3 ratio between the two motors. They're similar, but it's still quite a lot faster. Now, the bigger question was, how much torque does it have? Now, this is where I'm going to be a bit cheeky. I'm putting in this little gear train that is sitting on friction gears. Each of these gears is stuck on a blue pin. Now, the blue pins have got these little bits on the side that cause friction. So when they're put into a pin hole, they don't rotate freely. So I'm basically slowing this down 4 times just to see how much grunt these motors actually have. So let's see how we go. There are 4 axles trying to stop this from rotating, and still the large motor on this side is still doing an admirable job of actually pushing straight past all of that and still going at reasonable speed. But you can hear that the small motor is struggling a little bit. It's not loving it. Whereas the large, couldn't care less. It is moving along at speed still. This is not a scientific test by any measure, but it demonstrates that both of these motors still have the power to push past this great amount of friction and still provide a reasonable amount of torque. So I do feel that this motor may well end up in a lot of people's builds. So thanks MTA for allowing me to get my hands on this nice and early and be able to show it off to the Train Club guys. So the new hub is controlled entirely from the iPad and from the Spike app, but it is actually incredibly easy to use. Lots of different options. So this new color light matrix, very, very cool function. It obviously does multicolor LEDs, but you can actually even color them separately, make little patterns, lots of different colors there, and it even has white light too. I'm very tempted to set up a full matrix of them, but we'll see how that project goes later on. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. There'll be heaps more coming up on this page. But yeah, once again, thanks to MCA for running such an awesome competition. And I'm really looking forward to our partnership throughout the year as a LEGO Education brand ambassador. Cheers, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Heaps more content coming up soon.
Come to me, my work is custom made.